Budget should have been in the packet, was it not?
know.
I just thought about it yesterday.
Yeah.
He's all grown up.
Yeah,
They're
I
getting
just-
married January 2nd in Cape Town, South Africa.
I catch myself sometimes, oh, I remember you when you were that big.
I know.
Oh, that's right.
People used to tell me, I guess I'm damn
I know
mad.
it. And I try not to hit kids.
All right, I think we'll go on and get started here.
We're not quite ready over here, we're talking.
I know. Okay, so this is the finance overview Q&A session where the material is available. We've got the 2019 budget we just passed out to everyone, and then the 2018 budget, of course, is available as well and was in the packets. I want to just a high-level overview, and we've got this again in the report for the annual meeting, but there's no budget increase or dues increase this year. So we are operating within budget, and we are fully funding the reserve account. This is the second year in a row that we were able to fully fund the reserve account. Prior to that, we had several years where the operating expenses were such that some of the monies that would fund the reserve account had to go to operating expenses. So I believe that Jen's done a really good job working to budget and keeping within budget. We do have some small moves of expenses to different categories based on projects we had this year or last year in 18 and projects we have this year in 19. But the net is that we're still operating in budget, and there's no dues increase that's being requested. I guess let's start by introducing the board members that are here. I'm Wendy Allen. I'm the HOA president. I've been the president this past year, and I will let Mark go next.
I'm
Just go
Mark
down.
Turner. I've been the secretary for this past year.
And I'm Beth Lyons, and I was appointed to fill in for Jim Scott, who ran off to join the circus. Moved to be with grandchildren. So I've only been to 2 board meetings. And while I'm doing this introduction, I'll just add one thing. Like most of you probably, I had, before serving on the board and being honored to do so, had only been to a couple of meetings. As long as things were fine around here, we enjoy living here. And let the responsible people take care of things. So when I came in and started looking at the processes, the bill payment, the receipt of monies, I was really most impressed. The processes are good. The bookkeeper comes in twice a month, writes the checks. The checks are given to the 2 of us who will sign the checks. The invoices are there. They're clear. The charge accounts. The staff does a really good job, and it takes 2 signatures to pay our bills. So just saying that, just looking as a new outsider coming in, the processes are good, and I think everybody can feel assured that this board has implemented the right way to take care of accounting and ensure that bills are properly and promptly paid. So, thank you.
I'm Jeff Newman. I echo what Beth said. This is my second year, and I'm the sole carryover. So, that's good.
Okay, so we do have a special guest. It is Phil Gambrell, right?
Phil
Okay,
Gambrell.
Gambrell. Phil has our insurance, and he is with Gambrell and Sturgis, and he is here to answer questions related to insurance as well. So it's kind of a split finance insurance session today. And he will not be at the annual meeting at 10. So if you do have insurance questions, related to the overall or to your individual policies, you can get with him after this session. We can ask forum questions, or you can get with him after this session if you have one-on-one questions to ask about our insurance. And along those lines, our insurance did stay basically flat this year. So there was no increase, which was very good given the storm activity over the last year. We stayed flat while increasing our coverage. Our building assessed at a higher value, so our building went up in value by, is it $4 million? $4 million. And so we were able to keep the same coverage, slightly lower rates, and that was good during the activities of the storms. So with that, the budget is up. You've received the budget handout. If you just came in and didn't snag the budget, Jen's got some more. Jen's got some more. So we are projecting our total income to be at $1.37 million for this coming year. And if you go down to the bottom, I enlarged it a little bit. We're projecting our total expenses to be slightly lower than our total income. There are categories in here where we do have monies for unexpected repairs. Despite elevator maintenance, you don't know when you're going to have an elevator repair, and they are not cheap. So, we've got things like that in the budget. So if you're looking at expenses last year and you're comparing a category to the projected budget this year, there may be differences because we've got anticipation of repairs out of the operating expense. And that's the way the budget's been operating for many, many years. And, I had looked at it in the past before really understanding like the repairs and maintenance, the operating expense related repairs and maintenance. And I had questions about it, so that's why I'm kind of, giving you that information. So this last year we may have had, a category that was not very costly, but we kept that anticipation of possible, repairs and maintenance because we have them every year. We had a big unexpected electrical repair last year that could have been even more costly, but it ended up costing us about $25,000 if I remember. It was a very unusual piece of equipment that went out, had to be custom ordered, and then shipped in. It caused some pretty significant electrical issues in the seventh floor. Yeah.
East side.
So again, you just don't know. The power company said that in all their years they'd never seen this. I don't remember the name of the piece, Jen. If you do, I'm not that good on it.
So not something to expect or budget
Right.
for.
Yeah.
Right. So you wouldn't have, nobody would have ever budgeted for this, but it, those kind of things happen and you have to address them. So, any questions on last year's P&L, last year's final financial statement or the budget that we've got up here?
The 24-hour video surveillance, is that in 2018 or?
It's done, and it was in 2018. Yes.
And it came in
It,
way
it,
under
it came
budget.
in over 50% under budget. It was 50% under budget.
I
Yeah.
think we had budgeted 50 for that.
40.
Originally 40.
People are asking me about all the extra signs I put up, like we had issues, and I'm like, no, we've had no issues. It's just that we have more cameras and we need to tell you that we're watching you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Oh.
so.
Also in that budget and in the security cameras, and I can actually run it right now for just a moment. I'm going to run it before the meeting.
Oh, this is cool.
Yeah, this is really cool. Dave has been working with us. Dave Draculis back on the video audio controls. It has been one of his near and dear to his heart projects is to get some commercial grade cameras for owners to see the state of the
That's awesome.
island. Yeah, so that was also in the camera budget, because we were under budget, we were able to get some really nice, nice cameras up there and installed, and the proper cables run.
That's awesome. High five, Dave.
Yes, thank you, Dave. And he, they are live now on the Holiday Isle website. So if you all are not familiar with the HOA website, I can pull that up as well, and show you that. But you can go, you can click on it. It has a logo. We've got a logo up in the corner. We were able, if you had seen the previous camera that Dave graciously allowed his own camera from his deck, it had commercials, like there were advertisements on the streaming. We actually, this is private. We're paying not to have commercials on the streaming. So this, and Dave can describe this much better, but he's able to program that, and we're working on that. So he has a schedule of what you're looking at what hour on each camera, right under the camera, under the camera link. I'm going to go to the website and show you that too. But so it moves around and it can zoom in, and we're hoping that we'll be able to adjust with the sunset timing, so that we're going to be looking at the sunset at sunset time, as it changes, hours. Anyway, big thanks to Dave. This is great when you're not here and there's especially if there's a storm coming and you're not here, you feel like you have no idea what's going on. So we're even gonna work on making it so that when the power goes out, these cameras stay on. It's another project. It's not a costly project at all, but that's another long-term project, and we're gonna talk with the town of Dauphin Island to let them know that we've got a camera, and let them take advantage of that if they want. It's public. It can be public if we want it
I
to.
think they're the only
Get
ones.
some Fox 10 sponsorship.
Yes, and there's some interest for the local news to be able to show the view, and it would have our logo on it. None of that's final. We haven't. They have requested it. They're very interested. They were interested even when it was Dave's camera on his deck. But so that's kind of special projects that are going on this year in 2019. So again, a big thanks to Dave. We have many technology benefits that we would not have were Dave not volunteering his time and expertise.
Let's hear it for Dave.
Yeah, absolutely.
On that, I just saw in New Orleans where they're asking people with their own security cameras and cameras to tie it in with the city's police department,
Yeah, we do that at
so that they
Mobile.
have access to everything here. So you can't come in with your boyfriend.
That's your disguise.
So this
Let
is
everybody laugh.
this is the HOA website, and I am on the webcams page. So that's right here. Again, this is public. We do have an owner section. If you have not been there, it has all of our meeting minutes are there. They're loaded. They're always behind, but they get there. We approve the minutes at the next meeting. We approve our monthly minutes, and then it takes a little while for the signatures and then them to get over to Dave to be posted. But they're pretty up to date. And again, the webcams isn't in the locked down owners area, so you can click on it. What I wanted to show here was the schedule. So again, that's pretty cool. So you're looking at different things at different times of day.
The owner section is password protected, and we did change the password, and you do have to ask me for it because people were giving it to the realtors and potential purchasers, and they were asking me really weird questions, and the only way they knew this stuff is going through all of our meeting minutes and stuff like this. So I would prefer that it was
Yeah, we want to keep that to owners, and the next time the password is changed, we will send an email that says we are changing the password, reach out for the new password. But again, that's just not for you, it's best not to share that, to keep it private.
I think we have a disclaimer up too.
We do.
Call me or email me, and
Well,
I'm gonna
I
ask
think
you.
I think it's down now
Is it
though.
down
Yeah,
now?
so people
Okay.
that didn't go on in a couple of months, may not know it.
That's just for the owner section.
Yeah.
Correct.
But
that's
not,
the
there's a ton of
Correct.
info that's,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Anybody can access, but owners is locked down.
Yep. Other questions about the 2018 finances, 2019 finances? Yes, sir?
I've got a question under the accounts receivable. Why is that number so high? Is that because of this lawsuit thing that's been dragging on?
Where are you? Are you in the,
Balance sheet, you're showing 39.
On the 18?
355 receivables.
oh, yeah, no, that's an outstanding payment from an owner that we have had to put liens on their house.
Yes, yeah. And the good part is, the condo was forced to sale, okay? And it will be closing May 10th, and we get all that money, and I can't wait.
well, that's,
Well,
that's the
it's
great
not,
news. If it's sold, we can recoup that.
Yeah, other than if we.
Yeah, that's right. It is
to
all the one owner.
foreclosure,
That's correct.
We only get 6 months of dues there. And we are very lucky that we only had one person that doesn't pay and 3 or 4 that are slow pays. When I go to Gulf Shores, it's 40% or more. I don't know how they balance their budgets.
yeah.
So,
We're very fortunate, and Jen stays on top of it very well.
Question.
Yes, sir.
We're showing $3,000 in interest income, and we have just about $800,000 in the bank. I don't know how we're earning that income, but I think it could be put in some safe, really safe thing and earn more than $3,000 a year. 1% would earn us like $8,000 a year. So
Yeah.
We're really probably just, I think we ought to look at what can be done, what other charitable, and I'm saying charitable, not that we're charitable, but they have to be very safe, and see what other charitable institutions are hawking their money, and hopefully get an increase in the rent, in the interest income. And another question. I don't
Well,
know why-
well, let's start with that one. So
Okay.
that can certainly be looked at.
Okay.
We consolidated our banks last year. We finished last year in 18. We started in 17, but we finished last year. We consolidated 3 banks from 6 or 5, yeah. And that gives us a little bit more negotiating power with those banks because we have more monies there. And so we can certainly look at that, and I think there's different opinions on whether, if you want to invest or you want to be in CDs and that kind of thing, but there's a possibility, yeah.
remember, we wanted to keep it liquid because we didn't have the line of credit at that
That's-
time.
then that
We
was
were
the
really
next
nervous
piece.
with the storms
Now that we've-
Yeah.
And that's another finance-related topic. Don't forget your other question, but, so we did secure a line of credit. When I ran with Mark 2 years ago, one of the things that we wanted was to reinstate the line of credit. I believe when it was discontinued, the line of credit was somewhat pricey. I think it was costing us several $1,000s a year. And we had a larger reserve account. Knowing that we're drawing down our reserve account to do the 5-year maintenance plan, and knowing the nature of the recent storms, we wanted to make sure we got a line of credit in place. And it took every bit of a year and a half to get the terms, et cetera. We do have a $500,000 line of credit now. There's no cost to us for that line of credit. It is at no cost, again, from one of those banks that we consolidated to. So we can leverage that in the if we have the need, which also gives us a little bit more ability to go to items that, you know, you might have to stay in a CD for 6 months or something to get a higher interest rate, something like that. Okay. You had another question?
Oh, yes, we have on line 62,400 depreciation expense. Depreciation is usually something associated with taxes that you write down your income with, but, you know, depreciation. I don't know why we're writing off 10,000, it's 10,000.
I've asked that question 7 years in a row.
Actually, what we're depreciating is the furniture in the lobby, the equipment downstairs, not the building. It's
Right.
kind of, you know, the furniture in here, you know, it's kind of weird. You know, the pool furniture, that's what we're depreciating. Because we take that out of the reserve to redo the lobbies and stuff, so that's how it was explained to me.
So why don't you expense it off as furniture, et cetera, et cetera? When you write it, do you write a check to depreciation, and if so, who do you give it to?
Oh.
It's a non-cash account.
It's
7 years I've said this.
Well, the CPA.
Yeah, I think we should have the CPA answer that one.
Well,
I'm not a tax
I asked
expert, but,
Brown, our CPA treasurer, when you're, oh, it's just an estimate, don't worry about it. I said,
well,
what's that coming from the CPA? It's just-
Well, what we'll do is we'll ask Mark to come one time.
Yeah.
He's on a special trip. He's bone fishing in the Bahamas.
yeah.
Is that like you're just putting it into a reserve so that when it's time to replace it, then you have the money to do it?
Like a marker kind of thing is what we
I'm-
were told.
Well, I think
I'm not
that's
going
all with it. I
to be
think
able to
somebody
speak
can
well
come
to the
up with
depreciation, so we'll have to get with the CPA on that one.
Yeah,
I have
it's-
depreciation in my regular, you know,
Sometimes it's in
budgets as
accounting
well.
rules and laws that we don't.
Right, exactly.
Need to speak on that.
There's nothing,
It's just a depreciating asset.
yeah, there's certainly, it's a very small amount for one.
It's a big building.
Yeah, accounting.
Yeah,
Thank you, Jim.
so there's a lot of, you know, I don't, I think the CPA would need to answer that one. And we did invite him, and he was not able to attend.
We have interest expense. Why?
What line are we on?
6340.
Are you on the budget or the actual from last year?
Budget.
Okay, but 16.
I don't know.
Interest expense.
We're earning 3, paying out 5. I don't know.
I think we just put that.
Yeah, I think
in
that's a
as
placeholder.
order. Before we would pay our insurance over a 12-month period, we don't do that any longer. You know, we pay it in full, and we didn't know if we would be able to afford that this year.
That's right.
Not knowing how much the insurance was gonna be, Jacob.
Yep.
And that would be, so that's one of those things that will be absorbed back in the budget there.
Or left there as a
Yeah, or left
placeholder
there,
in the
because
event,
there may
because
be a time
when we do
can't
need to do it, right.
So,
Okay, next, 64,900, $5,000 for office supplies.
Yeah, that's legit. We have quite a bit of office supplies when you have to mail out, do the packets and
do
the
you see all
paper
these
and the,
trees I killed here,
Yep.
Jacob? I do that on
Yep.
a monthly basis there.
Yeah.
I am the office supply person, okay? We do go to Amazon and really try, but between the ink, and the paper, you know, and the mailing, you know,
last year we were at 7,300, so
Yeah,
we're
so-
planning to
yeah.
reduce that this year, but to 5,000.
yeah.
But that's cost of doing business, Jacob.
No, I understand, it just seems a little high. That doesn't include postage. Postage is a.
That is
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah.
And the other, in some other associations that I work with, we've gone to providing a procedure where they can accept everything by email.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yep.
And it saves a lot of money on paper, printing, and everything else, and that we can just send them their monthly statement by email. We can send them all notices by email, and they sign up and agree to it, that they want it by email. A lot of people are traveling, and
Yep.
they never get their mail.
We can,
They will get their email.
we would love to see that. That requires a project and approval and review and all of that, but definitely warrants it. I've suggested that as well. So I think it's a very valid question. Hold on, Jacob. You've already had like 3 questions, and there's somebody else that had a question.
Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, Bob.
What are you printing that's so time?
Well, let's be clear though, it's not just printing, right? It's file folders, it's print, it's ink, it's not just paper we're talking about that's $7,000. This is all the office supplies.
Every time we have new owners.
Signage.
Yeah, every time we have new owners, we have to do a whole new owner's kit for them, and it goes in a file, and it's, it.
And then one goes to them
Yeah,
too.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it is a lot of paper that we print, and,
Yeah.
Paying my pension, I appreciate it.
That's right. It is.
66,700. No, that's 66,750.
Okay.
Employee leasing.
Yes.
220,000.
Those are our employees.
Yeah,
That's what?
That's our employees.
we have.
That's our staff.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, but it's not leasing.
It is.
Employee list.
It's employee leasing. It absolutely is.
It's what we're paying the staff around.
That is correct.
yeah, we do it through a company, and they file all the taxes, they do the background check, they do the drug test, they file our payroll taxes, they keep
Yeah.
track of vacation. We have, I am your full-time salaried employee. I have 2 full-time maintenance persons and 3 part-time people. That's it. And then in the
Yeah.
summer, we'll ramp up, so, but that's a number we brought down from $250,000,
Yeah.
guys. Yeah.
Well,
But
and
the-
to Jen's credit, we had an employee last year, a part-time employee that was doing administrative work, and when she left to take another job, we did not replace her, and Jen and one of the other part-time employees has been they took on that workload as well. And that employee leasing, just as an FYI to the group, does include a raise. We were able to give all of our employees a raise the last 2 years. We have a good dedicated team. They are very committed and proud of the complex, and it is to our benefit to keep them and keep them satisfied. So that's in there as well. It was nothing exorbitant, no exorbitant raises, but it was, we did give them a raise.
And if you see any of these people, tell them they're doing an excellent job. They are. They
Yeah.
I think they're doing a really good job. They come up with their own ideas. They come in when they're not on the clock to check the pool because they're worried that the pool's not going to be checked or that there's going to be a problem. Again, they're really good staff, and they're very nice. All of them seem to be very nice. So I think we're very fortunate with the staff we have. Our biggest challenge, I think, this year is going to be keeping it clean and fresh over the summer. That's the challenge. Where Jen is staffing up for that, and trying to add additional cleaning coverage for the summer for when there's
Yeah, we
cardboard under the trash chutes and the windows get smudged by noon or whatever. But so that's going to be one of our big focuses this summer.
And the indoor pool bathrooms, please let me know if I really have Pierce and I, we converse via text all the time.
Yeah.
If there's an issue, let me know. If there's garbage left in the parking lot, or if the indoor pool bathroom's dirty, you have to let me know. I'm not here, but we'll take care of it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So that is in employee leasing as well. And then our courtesy officer is the line below that, I believe, Jacob. So, and it says security service.
Yeah, security is courtesy.
That's our
officer.
courtesy officer.
She's great too.
Yeah,
I
Angie is.
didn't question the amount.
No, no, yeah, no, no,
Releasing people.
Oh,
yeah,
Very
it's fine,
commonly,
it's
Yeah.
fine.
commonly used term. That's a
Yes,
commonly
absolutely.
used method to,
Yeah,
but those companies advertise themselves to leasing companies, so it's very common.
really just keeps our taxes on track there, so.
yeah.
They provide benefits.
No, no one gets benefits, sorry, guys.
The, they're offered benefits, but they're pretty much cost prohibitive because it's just not a good, we don't have a big enough
Yeah,
base
make
to
it
offer
work.
a good package. Other questions on the budget or in general, questions that anybody has about projects?
Or suggestions, what should we be looking at?
Anything else we should focus on that's not being focused on that you guys know about?
The other telephone expense, $10,000, what is that?
The CenturyTel, the 911 phones that you see outside, they cannot go through voice over network.
Yeah.
They have to go through CenturyLink, and we pay a fortune for those certain phones there, so. And I don't even know if they work, because we've never really picked them up and tried them, so.
CenturyLink's expensive
Oh,
anyway.
very, you know, Jacob.
But you don't have a choice.
Yeah, no,
This
you
is
gotta
us
It's
out.
the only provider
Yeah.
on the island. Like, we have a different exchange in the condominium than the whole island does, only because we're voice over net, voice over air. But those CenturyLink phones had to be installed, and it's the elevator phones too.
Oh,
When
yeah,
you push
you gotta
that
have those.
button, it's the elevator phone that dials in. Yeah, I know, hey.
And I could buy a lot of phones, give everybody here.
It doesn't work like that.
Yep, doesn't work that way.
Yeah, it doesn't work
It's
like
getting, the hardwired landline
that. Yeah.
uh,
Required-
business has transformed over the last 10 or so years. Everybody's
Yeah.
going to voice over internet and those things. So if you're lucky enough to be the only provider or one of just a couple of providers, then your expenses are a little higher there, which is the case, and it's the same thing in Bayou Battery.
Now, that may change with the fiber coming over that island.
I would hope.
Yeah, we
There
may
may
have
be another provider.
option
Yeah.
there, so.
I think it's here.
Yeah.
I think it already came over.
Yeah, it's
my
here
understanding.
on the,
Yeah.
Phil, is that, I know we had to do that, was that an insurance requirement?
Well,
Those
yes, that's
911
one
phones by
thing,
the pools and the elevators? Because last thing you want to do is be trapped in the elevator when the power's out and there's
No way to call.
internet.
Yeah, Yeah.
And your phone doesn't work. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just pulled up, this is our data this year, which is not really what the annual meeting's about, but it's our revenues and expenses as of February. We didn't have the March data when we last met, so that hasn't been reviewed by the board, but again, we're on track. Typically, what happens throughout the year is you run under budget until summer hits, and then you go over budget for those months, if you will, unless you want to get so granular that you're budgeting by month, which we're not quite that fancy. So we monitor that, and then after summer is over, you're back to the normal expenses, and you run under a little bit, and it catches back up. Quiet. Anything else? Any questions for Phil on our insurance?
Don't let me off easy now.
It's a good year for you, Phil.
Now,
I'll just say a couple of things.
that'd be great, Phil.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to take the mic so that they can hear?
Yeah, we're videotaping you.
Yeah.
All right.
You might want to talk about the fact you're doing HO6 insurance now, too.
Not in Alabama still.
Not in Alabama yet? Oh.
Not yet, no, it's
So don't
long
talk
story.
about
Oh, don't talk.
Yeah, I won't talk about that. How does this thing come on?
No, I think you.
Okay, can y'all hear me?
No, you get back.
Okay, get that.
This is
There.
very sophisticated.
Okay, all right, with insurance, the big questions I'm getting right now is what's happening to our rates, since Michael. And I've got a lot of property insured in Panama City, a lot of big condos. Since Michael in October, rates are going up. Last month, I went to 3 of these meetings, not HOA, but board meetings, and I had to deliver a 43% increase on one, a 48% on another, and an 83% on another. So, most of them are around 10%, something like that, you know. So, if y'all had been 83, I wouldn't be here. I'd send somebody else in my office over here. But
These older structures?
Pardon me?
What kind of, are these older structures?
yeah, well, some of them are older, but what's really getting hit harder, the EFIS construction, of what's called EFIS, if you're familiar
I'm not
with it.
familiar.
It stands for Exterior Insulating Foam System,
Oh, yeah.
and it looks like stucco.
Yeah.
You know, back in the 80s or 90s, they started building houses like that, and it was a
Yeah.
disaster. And these are the buildings that are really getting hit. And so really, I was expecting a modest 10% increase for y'all. And when we got the renewal, I went, holy cow, you know, this is great. And I called the underwriter, and I said, you know, what's the deal? You know, this is great. He said, you know, this building models, and what happens, they remodel your building every year. They put in a simulated hurricane-type atmosphere. And they said this building models so well that, you know, the company didn't want to risk losing you, so they just kept it flat.
Right.
Well, actually, you took a decrease because you got the same rate virtually, but you got $4 more million of increase in value. So it really worked out well for y'all. And yeah, this building is really, really solid. So the buildings that are modeling really bad, like the ones that I did the 40-something% and the 83, they model horrible. And the 2 of them are in Destin and the one's in Panama City. So,
How does I had a question, but does anybody else have a question? I know loud.
yes,
Our deductible on wind and hail
yes, sir.
is 1%.
Okay, hurricane deductible, hurricane.
Okay.
Big difference
Yeah.
between hurricane, if it's a tropical storm. Yeah, if say we got the 1% hurricane deductible, you only have to pay that 1% hurricane deductible if it's a named hurricane when it hits the shore. If it's a tropical storm, then it's only going to be, I think it's a 25,000 all over the wind that's on there. So, you know, that happened with Hurricane Sandy in New Jersey, whenever that was, 7, 8 years ago. You know, it's Hurricane Sandy, and right before it made landfall, they downgraded that to actual tropical storm. Well, the insurance companies sure hate that because, you know, if you got a hurricane deductible, you know, now all of a sudden, instead of paying the deductible for that building being $300,000, it's now $25,000. So, you know, it costs the insurance companies a lot of money just for that
Are
downgrade.
we paying, what are we paying to bring that hurricane deductible down to 1%?
It's about, I've got the figure over here.
We just looked at that recently.
I've got it. It's about $60,000.
I remember having that discussion.
Okay, if you were to go to a 2% deductible,
What?
2%,
Okay.
it would be, you would save approximately $30,000 on your insurance, but you're putting at risk almost $400,000 of deductible. It's $387. So if you want to save $30,000, we can change it to a 2%. Now your deductible is going to be $387,000 higher. See, it's $387 right now at 1. Mhm.
The thing is, on my homeowner's policy, I have loss assessment coverage,
Right.
which says that if the association has a deductible on their hurricane and they bill me my portion of it, they will pay that after my deductible up to $5,000.
Right.
So I could go up like 1.5% or 1.75% before I would lose any money by assessing that to my insurance company. Could we, let's say, do 1.5% and get a rate or something? Would it save us any money?
You talking about doing a 1.5% deductible versus
Right,
2%?
for hurricane.
Yeah, I had never seen any 0.5%, but to answer your question, yeah, if you went to 1.5%, if they did let you do that, then it's going to be somewhere in between that difference of 1 to 2%. So, I've actually got some condos, they're asking us to, can they buy it down lower than 1%? And I just found out 2 days ago that there's a product coming out, it's a London product, and they're only going to let our agency have it in Florida, Alabama, and Mississippi to start with, and you can actually buy your hurricane deductible down to $5,000 if you. I hadn't seen a price on it.
And to Jacob's question, though, that they're not mandating us be at any deductible.
No,
No.
no.
That would be an association decision.
Yeah, and here's the good thing too. A lot of the properties I insure in Florida, they're losing their 1%. They're not even offering that because not only are they raising their rates, that one that was an 83% increase, not only did they lose their 1%, they had to go to a 2% deductible. So,
Well,
I mean, it's,
And if we,
what I'm trying to make the point is, I'm paying insurance, and my insurance is gonna pay me $5,000
Right.
towards my deductible that the association has here. So that if we, let's say,
yeah.
if we reduced it to if we
Yeah.
went up it to 2%, and we billed everybody here, according to the size of the unit, up to $5,000 plus my deductible, it's covered by my insurance. So
Yeah.
we're really double insuring
Yeah.
and getting no business.
well, I-
well,
you know,
you're
I,
double insured, but not everybody
yeah.
is.
Well, and I don't know which company you're polishing through, but some of those policies you got to watch because they will not pay unless the association actually assesses. It's got to be an
That's
assessment.
correct.
That's
The
yeah.
association
Has to assess you. Yeah, and that's something you could ask Lynn about.
Sure,
Lynn
absolutely.
Perry. But
Yeah.
anyway, but
Yeah.
most people, when they sit there and go, okay, we can save $30,000 by going to 2%, but if we do get hit by a hurricane, we got to come out another $387,000. And I can tell you, when I first started insuring this building I think it's back in 07, 08, something like that, y'all's premiums were up, just your property premiums, I forget what they are right now, 200 and something, but they were they're like $300,000 higher, at least. I mean, y'all's property has come down, 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 down. Of course, the rates over the last 10 years have dropped way down. I got a couple on Mississippi Gulf Coast, a big one over there. They've gone from 700,000 down to about 300,000. So, but now things are starting to creep. Yeah, y'all are the only ones I've renewed since Michael that hadn't had an increase, which is good.
I have a question related to the big projects that we're doing. Like, does that impact our insurance in any way when we put in for the resurfacing?
Absolutely. Each time, and Jen's real good about letting us know. Yeah, if you reseal the building,
Yeah.
repaint it, insurance, we want to turn all that over to the company to say, to their underwriters, it helps, so, yeah, we're big on that.
Okay, good. So that is helping us in that.
And when these contractors come in, I'm sure Jen does this, I'll toot her horn, she won't toot her own, but she's a very good manager, so she makes sure these people are insured and have the
Oh, yeah.
proper documentation and all that, so, yes, sir.
Some of the big condos over in Orange Beach have lazy rivers.
Uh-huh.
And how much does that increase their insurance?
A bunch, a bunch. On the general liability, I don't know, have anybody been to Splash Condo in Panama City Beach?
Oh, boy.
They have an indoor water park with slides and all kinds of things. We have had kids split their arms up from a screw come loose, sticking up out of the slide. We've had teeth knocked out. We've had, and when we first, it's sad. And we've actually had people, locals, they drive up and drop their kids off, have them run inside, and while they go run errands, and they go, say it's been a nightmare for them, and they say they wish they would never do it, had never done it, but their general liability, which should be around $10,000, I think it's around $54,000 right now.
But not the water slides and all that kind of stuff, but just.
The lazy river, I don't think that would add too much to it. And I've got one in Destin that's got a lazy river, and it doesn't affect theirs too much. But so as long as you don't start getting things that people are climbing on and you know. They got, actually, one of their slides is, this is not real funny, but it's kind of funny. It's in one of those enclosed tubes, and it says, "Do not enter if you're under age 14." We had like a 34-year-old woman, kind of a heavier set woman, got stuck in the,
She couldn't exit.
yeah. I guess is what alcohol will do to you. I'm gonna try. Hey, y'all watch this. You know?
Watch this.
So yeah, but a lazy river to answer, no, that probably would.
$100,000 a unit to replace the windows, because they weren't up to the 150 mile an hour like ours are. But I noticed on the recoating on the front that we're starting to get corrosion on the aluminum windowsills. Have you got some kind of program to mitigate that?
We don't have a program, but we have noticed it as well, and it's going to be incorporated in one of the envelope efforts. If you've got peeling right now, we can address those, one off. We had some units, not even on the on the back side, on the front side, that had some pretty significant peeling, and we do have the staff painting those with the appropriate coating. So that is part of the aging of the building.
Yeah. Oh, no, nobody else asked, it's not.
Go for it.
How much property outside of the physical confines of the building do we have here?
This much.
Yep.
I asked this question
Really
recently.
and truly, it's about this much. It's Jen can actually speak to the sides and the.
We don't even own outside of the pet walk there.
Right.
That's an easement to the town that has to be
Yeah.
maintained for, on the west side, 8 foot.
Mhm.
So behind us, we don't have much. Those dunes, we don't own them. We pay the Park and Beach Board for a walkover, which is that boardwalk, $9,000 a year. That's it. Yeah.
So really, we don't have any space to do anything other than the footprint.
Not
What, where we are, we'd have
without
to,
going
we'd
back to
have
the
to
park.
absorb it within kind of our
We have
confines.
to, be here, internally.
And that brings up a good topic just for general education. The boardwalk is not an item that is covered in the reserve fund, nor is it an insured item. They will not insure your boardwalk, right, because they wash away. The cost to redo that entire boardwalk is going to be over $50,000. And when we do redo it, we've got to go up over the dune. Right now, because it was there before the dune formed as high as it did, we're kind of in the dune at the bottom. So we want that boardwalk to last as long as it can and be safe and look good. Last year, one of the storms, for those of you that walked it maybe for a couple of months, it cocked our boardwalk. It got it all cattywampused. And the cost to repair just that piece, the piece, that extension piece was like $46,000 was one of the bids that we got. And all of them came in pretty close. It wasn't like there was, one really low bid. And that wasn't even the whole boardwalk. It was just the piece that was lopsided. Jen did a really good job. She found someone that works on pilings, and he was able to come and repile and level the boardwalk out. So that's probably one of our larger expenses that we have the potential of replacing in the event of a big storm, and it doesn't have to be a hurricane. It wasn't the hurricane; it was the tropical
it's
storm
Nate.
it was Nate that messed up our boardwalk. But that's just information for everybody to know. We're watching it. We're trying to keep the boardwalk as long as we possibly can before replacing it. But of course, it will remain safe, and we want it to look good. And I think they put up the lights yesterday. We got all the lights back up.
Yeah, the thing is, when we do lift the boardwalk, the spindles are 7/8 of an inch too far apart. So all the spindles have to be readjusted. I was so glad we could get it tweaked versus, because it was like, you're kidding, really? Yeah,
That's
they
a
have
big
them.
It was a
expense.
huge cost.
Just the
The
spindles.
spindles alone in the new
They
boardwalk.
have this thing, if they can put it through the spindles, it's like a child's head, so we'll keep our fingers crossed.
Larry?
Our neighbors don't have spindles, they have a different.
That's correct.
Yeah.
You don't have to have spindles. If you
Yeah.
want it to look like our neighbors, we can go back with something like that.
didn't like
But
That's quite level.
it's level, but we
Yeah.
didn't, I just don't, it's not very appealing,
Yeah.
from a look perspective. But it's definitely something we'll be, assessing if we do have to, when
That
we
came
do have
up.
to replace the boardwalk. It did come up.
That came up, Larry, after that. We thought we were going to have to repair some of it, and the options we were given were to have some of it look like our neighbors and the
Right.
rest of the spindles remain in place.
Right.
And that was
Wasn't
not-
good.
Wasn't good.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we got away.
Yeah,
to
yeah,
fix
so
that.
we dodged it for now, but eventually the boardwalk's gonna have to be replaced, and we'll have to handle that out of operating expenses.
I mean, there are other options than boardwalks. And Siesta Key, which is typically rated as one of the top beaches in the country, don't use boardwalks. They now use those mats that are heavyweight mats, about 6 or 8 feet wide. And I think in terms of a hurricane coming,
Be cheap, be
you
less
can move
expensive.
those up.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, there are other options out
That's good
there.
too.
See?
The town just passed the dune ordinance, and you have, in Alabama, it's got a deal, you have to have a boardwalk.
Oh, okay.
So maybe there aren't as many
The
options.
boardwalks will have to be 2.5 feet above the ground, to let little critters crawl up.
And what if we talked about a gazebo for those people, our beach is a hike, so maybe people could do a gazebo halfway or something, so.
Somebody, and I apologize, I don't remember who it was last night, suggested we put a temperature gauge at where we wash the, like, a thermometer, just so that people could see how hot it was, and, before they get out to the
Yeah.
beach, right?
92.
So I thought that was a nice idea and could make for, it would look good if you
Yeah.
find the right, nice. And we put it at the end too, at this, where the boardwalk ends, and so people could see right then it was 104 degrees out there in the sun. So turn around and go back if you're not ready to cover it. Okay, I think we've got about 3 minutes, and then we're going to we'll wrap this up and let people start coming in for the annual meeting. Yes.
I'll make one other suggestion in
Yeah.
light of some matters that Jimmy raised last night. The 5 mounds that are off to our left out there are the COs. The COs were put in by DP after the spill.
Uh-huh.
So those COs have trapped that much sand. If we wanted to accumulate that sand in front of us, we could plant some COs, and that's whatever, 6 or 8 years, 8 or 10 years, whatever the number is. But those are pretty substantial breaks for incoming water.
Absolutely.
Storm surge. I was surprised. Those were flat at the time of DP.
Yeah, we're doing it slowly. We got approval to do the sand fencing after a month and a half of sending them pictures back and forth to the Park and Beach Board. When the CLAC plant, when their volunteers go down and plant them, maybe we'll grab some and put them by ours, and gradually.
We need to make sure the board knows the beach board knows we're doing it too.
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
that's
yeah,
good.
We can't do
Yeah, we
anything
want it-
without their approval.
The sand, the dunes and the sea oats are important for sure. All right. Okay, well, we'll wrap this up and let people in, let everybody take a break.
That coffee. Coffee.
Yeah,
break.
there's food out there. Please help yourselves. So, grab something.
This did go out in the packet. Okay. I mean, because I remember Jim she whited that out, so it wasn't confusing.
Yeah, I mean, that's generally so, but we got the package now.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it.